Good morning, all. As we enter into this all Zoom service, please note that those of you participating via Zoom have been muted by our host. Also, be advised that this service is being recorded and, with the exception of joys and concerns, will be published online. Finally, if you wish, take a moment to arrange your own chalice at home. Kindness and comfort accompany our travels as we share facets of our lives with one another. We enter this house with hope for further understanding of one another. I will light the chalice here in my sanctuary. I invite you to light your own chalice and place it where it can be seen by all of us. Before we sing the first hymn, let me remind you to leave yourselves muted. However, we want you and whoever is with you to sing with Jan as big and loud as you like. Make it a joyous experience. Please join us in singing the opening hymn, Love Will Guide Us, number 131.
Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night. If you cannot sing like angels, if you cannot speak before thousands, you can give from deep within you. You can change the world with your love. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night.
Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist community of Cambria. We're glad you've joined us today. Our UUCC sanctuary sits on land which the Salinan and Chumash indigenous peoples historically inhabited. We honor their contribution to this region and give thanks for the opportunity to gather as a faith community on their unceded ancestral lands. As a Unitarian Universalist community, we celebrate religious diversity and welcome all who journey in search of faith and spirituality. The UUCC is a lay-led congregation run by the democratic process. We invite speakers from different religious traditions and spiritual or scientific backgrounds to speak in our pulpit. We encourage presentations covering a wide variety of topics and areas of interest to our community that connect with the UU7 principles. Today's service centers around the third principle. We affirm and promote acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregations. Spiritual growth isn't about a vertical ascent to heaven, but about growth in every dimension at once. It's spirituality in 3D, Growth in spirit doesn't measure one's proximity to a God above, but rather the spaciousness of one's own soul, its volume, its capacity, its size. We need souls that can take in the world in all its complexity and diversity, yet still maintain our integrity. And we need souls that can love and be in relationship with all of this complexity. Instead of fight or flight, we need a spiritual posture of embrace. My name is Dolores Miera, and I am your worship associate for this morning's service. We have new people in town here today. Let's see here. Yeah, CC. Who's CC? Isn't CC new? Okay. So if you I'd like to extend a special welcome to today's guests and visitors, and we're glad you've joined us this morning. If you are not on the mailing list, please visit the UUCC website at www.uuccambria.org so that we can keep you informed of all of our activities. And please check out What's Happening, a weekly e-blast sent to all members and friends. This is a great way to keep up with the latest news in this community. And as a reminder, if you wish to see this or any of the past Zoom services again, recordings of these services can be found on the UUCC website and Facebook as well. The membership committee invites non-members to consider joining our community. Please contact Diane DeMarco or a person on the board if you're interested. Thank you. So again, good morning and welcome to everyone. Whoops, wait. Okay. The affirmation is both a recognition of the nature of this community as well as a promise we make to aspire to. Let us now recite the UUCC affirmation. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its prayer. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in freedom, and to help one another. We set aside this time for any short announcements that would be of interest to our UU community members and friends. Please keep your items short and to the point. For any items that need more explanation, please call or email the person after the service to be respectful of everyone's time. If you have an announcement, please raise your hand. When Diane calls your name, please unmute yourself, then speak.
Jan, would you please unmute yourself?
Yeah, I don't know if this is a joy and concern or an announcement, but we've been getting letters in from our scholarship recipients, and I just wanted to read you one. This is from Alexandra Aguilar. Thank you so much for the scholarship money. Without your support, I wouldn't be able to follow along with my dreams. I really wanted to get you a nice card. This is what she wrote. But with working and not having time to get out of school, sorry, I'll make sure this letter makes up for it. My parents have taught me to always face my challenges and fears head on. Doing that interview was a big challenge itself, but with motivation and drive, I pushed through, so thank you again. I genuinely believe our community is by far the most united, most loving, most generous community there is. I hope to reach out again in the future to let you know of my future career accomplishments. Big heart, sincerely, Alexandra Aguilar.
Beautiful. Thank you, Jan. Kat, would you please unmute yourself?
Oh, thank you. Just that I'm collecting jeans, mostly men, but I'll take women's jeans as well. I'll be happy to pick them up, or you can drop them off at my house. Thank you.
Thank you, Kat. And Dawn, would you please unmute yourself?
Thank you. Just a brief announcement. Tomorrow, the CCSD is holding the first of two. They're doing a strategic planning, updating their strategic plan for it's a 6 months kind of thing, and we're going to then create a new strategic plan going forward. So Monday, we're meeting to take public comment on this, and it starts at 9 o'clock. I realize this is short notice, but it's a webinar, so if you were to join, your camera would be off so you could attend in your pajamas. Uh, we'd love to, we're for the specific purpose of getting community input as to concerns that people have as we move forward, and things that if things are going well or poorly, we'd love to hear from, and any concerns that anybody has. So I invite you for a little morning's entertainment. So I would love to see you all there. Again, you wouldn't be visible. I'm the only one that will have to have my clothes on. So I would love to see you there. So that's tomorrow. And the link, you can get the link by going to our webpage on the CCSD webpage. And at the bottom of the page is a link to that Monday meeting. Thank you.
Thanks, Don. Bryn, would you please unmute yourself?
Hi, everybody. It's been a while since I've been able to be here, and I'm so glad. This is, I'll save a joy and concern for later, but this is an announcement. I run the Camp Ocean Pines Amphitheater concerts. I have 2 of them this summer. And during the pandemic, I had about 275 people there, and you bring your own chairs, you bring your food, you bring drinks, and it's a really well organized thing. And so on July 16th, Saturday, at 3 o'clock, we have the Afro-Cuban Cali Cubano salsa group called Zongo All Stars, and they're going to be there, and I'm going to play salsa violin with them the entire time. And I'm really excited about them. So it's really easy to get tickets. You just go to 805 Tix, my 805 Tix, or you can go to my website, brynalbanese.com, and there's a ticket link there, and it's going to be so much fun. There'll be a lot of dancing at this one and just enjoying each other's company outside in the pines. So thank you.
Thank you, Bryn. All right, Dolores, I think that's all of our announcements. Back to you.
Randy
Okay,
has an
next.
announcement. Randy has an announcement.
I have an announcement. I can't raise my Zoom hand because I'm doing the slides. Tomorrow at 5 o'clock on Zoom is our monthly worship committee meeting. So those of you on the committee, please be there. And if you wish to join us, anybody else, you're welcome to just send me an email and I'll send you the link. But tomorrow at 5 on Zoom.
Okay, Dolores, take it away.
Okay. Next week, Bob Coker will present Navigating the 12-Step Recovery Journey, Moving Back to Spirituality. Sharing together, excuse me, some of our personal and significant joys and concerns brings us closer as a faith community. Can you see me? I can only see Diane. We invite you to share the milestones that are deeply felt as part of your personal life, along with expressions of gratitude or acknowledgement. But please be mindful and considerate of all who come to worship with us this morning. This is a time of community building. The collective flames of these candles embody all the joys and sorrows which may have gone unspoken today, but are also deeply felt in this community. Let us enter a place of peace and serenity, where you are one with your spiritual being. Be at peace within your space, where, excuse me, the absence of all that is temporal is most cherished gift. Let us enter the stillness. May there be peace within. May you trust your highest power that you are exactly where you are meant to be. May you not forget the infinite possibilities that are born when sharing our lives. May you use the gifts that you have received and pass on the love that has been given to you. Blessed be. Our reading today will be read by Diane DeMarco.
This, this story comes from a Jewish folktale from the 1700s, originally told by Jacob Ben Wolf, Bagat of Dubno. It begins with a beautiful, stunning diamond, a prized possession of a community of people, a town. Now, the townspeople are so proud of their diamond, they actually keep it on display so that everyone can see and enjoy it. One day, one of the townsfolk, upon inspecting it, woke up to find that the diamond had a long, deep flaw running down the middle of its length. The people were shocked and heartbroken. They asked every jeweler they knew if it could be fixed, but each one said it was too risky. To even try to fix it would be to put the diamond in danger of breaking into several pieces. Well, one day, a stranger, a stone cutter, came into town and said he thought he could fix it. Upon further questioning, it turned out that he said and told everyone he was quite a good stone cutter. But he also told them that would he have to take the diamond back to his shop for a while. He promised to return it better than ever. The townspeople were suspect after all. This was a stranger. However, after lengthy discussion, their hope at having their treasure restored outweighed the fear of this stone cutter being a dishonorable person. So they gave the diamond to the out-of-town stranger who called himself the stone cutter. And they waited and waited and waited. And every day they didn't see the stone cutter return was becoming a bigger concern. The townspeople decided to have a meeting after 2 whole months. It just so happened that same day, the stone cutter returned and found all the townspeople waiting for him. He opened the bag and handed the diamond to one of the town's elders. The elder looked at the diamond painstakingly while the people looked on, all stone silent. The elder finally lowered the diamond from his keen surveillance and he said, "I am stunned." The stone cutter had not polished the imperfection away. Rather, he had carved a beautiful rose into the face of the diamond, using the crack in it as part of the stem leading to the flower. The elder sent the stone around to each townsperson to see for themselves. He said to the stone cutter, the elder said to the stone cutter, "You have taken something that was cracked and broken and made it even more beautiful than it was before." He bowed to the stone cutter and said, "We are grateful." The metaphor of light is very important to us as Unitarian Universalists in a myriad of ways. The act of lighting the chalice, our ritual, the flame, a symbol of truth and justice, the divine spark, the inherent worth and dignity of every person, a beacon to guide our way. The chalice, a symbol of our faith.
Please join in singing "This Little Light of Mine."
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Today's congregational circle is titled Diamond Sunday and will be hosted by Diane DeMarco.
So indeed, today's service is entitled Diamond Sunday. And if you heard that it was called Psychedelic Sunday, you are not alone. Just know that Psychedelic Sunday will be coming sometime in the future. Congregations can communicate many ways to establish and strengthen their community. Because we have a shared ministry, we want to hear from all our members and friends in a variety of ways. Today's sharing is about letting us know another facet of who you are through storytelling. It's an enlightening part of our building community with one another. Why diamonds? Diamonds have an image of purity and light. They are given as a pledge of love and worn as a symbol of commitment. Like the diamond, you have many aspects to your being. You are multifaceted. We hopefully will soon learn another facet of who you are as you share in our gathering today and as we participate in healthy communication. Sharing stories is a way we connect as humans. Learning more about someone and their story enables us to know them in a new way, a different way, and possibly form a better understanding or connection. We want to create a safe environment for each of us to share our story, safe enough that we may be willing to move out of our comfort zones, but that's up to you. That means becoming good listeners and being present for one another. Community building means expanding horizons, learning from each and every person, supporting others in their giving to the church by sharing our stories. We're here to practice acceptance of ourselves and accepting the differences too. So the statement that is being posed to you is, please tell us something about you, a situation or event in your life that most people don't know about you. And then we'll also ask you perhaps why you decided to tell this particular story. There's nothing that says you have to share today. You're more than welcome to just hang out and listen as well. So we'd like to know if there's anybody who would like to start us off. Some brave soul out there. Okay, Anita, our courageous Anita, thank you.
You're welcome. Hello again. I will share a dream with you I had several years ago, maybe 13 years ago. I was like in a synagogue, but in reality, I have never been in a synagogue, but I knew it was there. And so there were a lot of stand-up slope desk with Torah scrolls. And amidst those desks, there were a number of boys of around 8 years old with kippas. And so I watched them, and then out of the blue, we were singing, Elohim, Elohim, Elohim. And it gave me the most amazing feelings I ever had. And I woke up and still had this beautiful feeling of bliss and love. And so that's my dream, which felt like so real. I will never forget it. And I don't have any experiences with Judaism. I only had an experience living in Zurich next to Orthodox Jews. So thank you for listening.
Thank you, Anita. Was there any particular reason you wanted to tell us that story?
Yeah, I wanted to share something else, but then I thought it wouldn't be so appropriate for the church. So I, I chose something else like this dream, which felt more appropriate.
Thank you, Anita.
You're welcome.
Okay, who's next? Hank, would you please unmute yourself? Let's get Hank to unmute. There you go.
Oh, I couldn't tell if you called my name or not. I wanted to reflect for our community on when I was 36 years old, which is hard to believe. But that's when I met my wonderful wife for life at Fridays in a swing singles bar situation in Costa Mesa, California, in Southern California there. And so that was a very special evening. She was with her best friend and I was with a crazy guy. I guess you'd call him a swinger. He was really good at that particular art form. But anyway, that's where I met my special wife that I still share life with and appreciate every day. So that's my little sharing.
Wow, thanks a lot, Hank. That was lovely. Okay, Bryn, would you please unmute yourself?
Well, I am a beauty school dropout. I seriously, I also was fired from my waitressing job when I was in college because I talked too much to the, and I had to wear a kimono, and I just was like getting too friendly with the people who came in, and they let me go because I wasn't doing my job. And the beauty school dropout, I went to beauty school in Baltimore, Maryland, when I was going to the Peabody Conservatory of Music, and I was concertmaster of the orchestra, and I was performing all over the place, but I still felt like I wanted to be part of just the mainstream life. And so I really am good at cutting hair, and I've cut a lot of people's, even famous people's hair at Tanglewood, which is the summer home of the Boston Symphony. And I've cut conductors' hair and opera singers, and yeah. So when I first moved back from Holland, I didn't have a job, so I started cutting people's hair, and elderly people's hair, especially because they can't get to shops. And I cut my parents' hair, and all during the pandemic in the kitchen, I would cut my family's hair. So that's just probably something that not very many people know about me. And the other thing is, just don't hire me as a waitress ever. I just won't get anything done. So anyway, I just wanted to share that because it just goes to show you that I had such a wonderful musical life, and I was doing so well, but yet I was not satisfied. I wasn't happy. I felt like there was something I was missing. So I just wanted to be part of that sort of mainstream work world, and look where it got me. So thank you for that's a great exercise here.
Thank you, Bryn. Okay, we have Dolores who's next. Dolores, would you unmute yourself, please?
Yes. So I'm choosing to tell you this story because I've been an accountant for 35 years and was an accountant. And one of the principles as being an accountant is to be consistent. Consistency in accounting is very important. And this is the, so this, the other day, and this happens many times, I will say about 50% of the time. So in accounting, I was 100% consistent, but in my personal life, right, it's another story. And it usually is if it benefits me. Okay. So I was at the grocery store, here we go, the other day, and I used to work in the grocery business too. And I was buying something, and then I was also buying herbs, basil or something that you put in the little bag, and then they weigh it. Okay, so I get up to the grocery checkout, and it ends up that this basil ended up costing like 7 cents, when the guy said it. And I knew that it was light, but it wasn't that light. And I think he was kind of new, and I didn't say anything. And I noticed that I do that at least 50% of the time when I know they're wrong and it's in my favor. 50% of the time, if it's a big thing that's going to come back on me, I will say it right away up front. But I'm not always consistent when it economically benefits me.
Thank you, Dolores.
You're welcome.
All right, Mary Ann, could you unmute yourself, please?
Well, I'm a very transparent person, as you know. Most of you know a lot about me. But the one thing I kind of wanted to talk about today was before I graduated from high school, we had moved 14 times. And throughout my childhood, I never remember being in any one place long enough to feel established, to have good friends. I was always the new kid in school or the new kid on the block, or 3 different high schools and 4 different grammar schools and stuff. So it made me, actually, the benefit of that is that you could put me in a room with strangers anytime, anywhere, and I'll do fine. I just mingle. I know how to be with people. But the biggest challenge for me was long-term relationships because of that. So I think I've done okay, but it was not easy being that kid who, would be drop into school. And so I kind of showed off a little bit because I tried to say, hey, I'm one of you guys, but I was very much ostracized and bullied throughout middle school and part of high school. So it kind of tears at my heart in not in a bad way, but when I see people who just grew up in the same house all their life, and so I used to think, oh, that's so boring, but there's something beautiful about that. So there you go. You probably didn't know that.
And you told us that story because
it came to me. It just came to me because I do find now, having lived longer in places as I've grown older, I do find that it's easier for me to pull up roots. But I do find also that having found you and you people in particular, that it's not as easy for me to feel that I could just pull up roots anytime. So that's why.
Thank you, Mary Ann. Beautiful. All right, Ted, could you unmute yourself, please? Ted, we need you to unmute yourself.
Okay.
There you go.
Sorry, I couldn't
No
find the darn
problem.
button. Well, I just thought I'd share an experience that it's starting to come back to me a little bit more often these days. When I was a young man, I was a technical rock climber, and one time I was up in the Grand Tetons. I was actually just above Jenny Lake, actually in the wilderness area. And I had been on I wasn't climbing that particular time, but I was camping out just all alone. And I was involved in a fast for like 4 days, just water. And just sort of a time to, to clean out and clear out. And I remember, I remember this kind of like tomorrow, really. I started to descend back down, and about halfway down, I sat down on a rock, and looked out over the valley, and all of a sudden, I realized that I was completely disembodied, completely. I felt no edges to my body or my form. I felt no seat of consciousness, no nothing. I mean, it was just a completely numinous experience. And I think that experience really has is instructional for me, especially given that we look at so many different religious traditions and philosophies here at UU's. And I'm not sure why I'm sharing this, but I don't know how many people are fortunate enough to have such an incredibly at one-ment. I mean, it was possibly as close to nirvana as I can imagine, and I really haven't had that experience since. I'm maybe I'm on a search for that again. I don't know, but it was just an incredibly powerful experience that's hung with me all these years. So I guess that's all I have to share.
Thanks for sharing that, Ted.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right, Art, would you unmute yourself, please?
Yes, good morning. I don't have anything nearly as ethereal or exotic as anyone else has, but I just want to tell you a story that happened to me when I was in high school. And I went to a Catholic high school called Pater Noster, which was a converted hosiery factory in downtown Los Angeles. And it was run by a bunch of Irish brothers. And they all had their great accents, like that. And so after religion class, one day, my friend Anthony and I snuck up to the 4th floor chapel, and we moved the statues of Mary and Joseph and put it into the pew so it looked like they were praying. And apparently when the brothers came back, they thought it was a miracle. And so I wasn't asked to return to that school for some odd reason. Okay, that's something I just wanted to share with you and God, if he's listening. Thank you.
Thank you, Art. That was very funny and amusing. All right. Yeah, Randy. Randy's going to share with us. Thank you. Unmute yourself.
Okay, here it goes. All right, this is a story, and it took place in my early 20s. I was a student at UCLA. I was part of the marching band, and at that time, I was the equipment crew manager, which means that there were 6 people working with me, and I drove a huge truck that carried all of our big instruments to the rehearsal sites and to the games. And at that time, the games were held at the Coliseum. And on one particular Saturday, we were scheduled to do a joint halftime show with Santa Monica City College, meaning we did a halftime show at the Coliseum for the UCLA game, and then that evening for the Santa Monica College game. And so it was a double day of football, a double football day for us. And the day started with a practice in the morning. So it was a very busy day for us. So we set up the practice site on campus and did this practice, and then the crew and I went straight to the Coliseum while everybody else went back to the dorm to have lunch. Then everybody joined us. We did our halftime show, and everything was all settled down. I'm sitting in the stands, and the previous night I'd helped a few people make a huge batch of brownies. And here come the brownies in the full wrapper. And by the way, these brownies were special brownies. They were very high, potent brownies. And this is at a time when a certain drug element was illegal. It was a federal offense to possess the Mary Jane. Anyway, I had not eaten that day, and I'd done a lot of work. And here comes the brownies, and I helped myself to 2 big pieces. And on an empty stomach, that kicked in full gear. Okay, so I was just flying high. And the game ends, and I get the truck, and we are packing up. Coliseum is empty. Just it was the 7 of us and a bunch of seagulls. And we saw on the other end of the field, coming through the tunnel, 10 band members. And I thought, this is weird, because we're going to pack up and head out to the next site. And I missed a part of the story. Before the end of the game, our band director came up to me and to our crew and gave us each $20 and said, here, go have dinner between the games. And we said, oh, thank you. Okay. And he said, but I would recommend that you go to this, he named the restaurant, I can't remember it, but it was a high-end Italian restaurant near the Coliseum. He recommended that we go there for dinner. And so he left and everybody left. And then we all decided we're not going to go to that restaurant because, number one, we can't afford it with that $20. And number two, we weren't excited about going there. We just wanted to go straight to Santa Monica and have dinner there. And then all of a sudden, those 10 people showed up, walked across the field. And one of the 10 people was the band president. And he was carrying a huge stack of dinner cards for the band to use to go into the dorm and have dinner, which means the whole band's going to show up at the dorm and not get dinner. So we were in a pickle. The buses left without these 10 people. So I had a car and a truck, and I had to make a quick decision. So I said, okay, we'll put the band president and a couple of people in the car and get them to the dorm as fast as possible. So we did that. And there were 4 people left who, and we didn't have any room in the front of the truck. So I said, hey, you have to sit with the instruments in the back of the truck. All right, so here I am, higher than a kite, driving a big double stick truck through the freeways of LA with all the instruments and 4 people in the back of the truck who were singing and making a lot of noise. I stopped and I went back and said, oh, are you okay? And they said, oh yeah, we're great. So then I kept driving, and then I got to approach the dorm about 20 minutes later, and something occurred to me, and I thought, yeah, they were noisy, but they're not noisy now. And I was thinking the worst, because you're not supposed to put people back there. And I thought, okay, this is a moment of truth. I'm going to open up the door and find 4 dead bodies. But fortunately, they were not dead. They were just very sleepy. And I was very relieved. Okay, but the story doesn't end there. We unloaded them, and then we hustled over to Santa Monica College to get set up. And we got there in time. We didn't even have time to eat dinner. Okay, that's how delayed we were. So we got there and we set up, and then we were going to go and get something to eat. And here comes the band director walking down the street right towards me like a raging bull. He was furious. And I thought, okay, I'm going to have to come up with an excuse why I chose to put 4 people back there and risking their lives, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I was bracing myself, and by the way, I was still pretty high as a kite, and so I could handle it because of that. He comes up to me and says, where were you? And I said, what do you mean, where was I? I thought he knew what happened, but I told him what we did. He said, I went to that restaurant, and by the way, the restaurant he recommended, he was personal friends with the owner of the restaurant. And their chef prepared 7 beautiful meals and had them all set up on a special table in a special room for us to celebrate us for all the work we've done for the band. And there they stood there and waited and waited and waited, and none of us ever showed up. And
almost killed 4 people.
And almost killed 4 people. And the reason I'm telling that story is because, number one, I don't engage in the, smoke weed.
Pot, yeah.
Okay, and here I was on it, and all this stuff happened, and I was risking everybody's lives, driving stoned, and people back to the truck. So the significance of the story is that with my mush brain at the age of 22, I took some serious risks and somehow got through it all unscathed. There's my story.
Yeah, he dodged a big one, yeah.
I thought it was a cannonball.
Thank you, Randy. All right. Do we have any other stories for today? All right. I have one last story that I'd like to tell. And I like art. I'm going back to high school, but it wasn't so much of an amusing story. I was in my senior class, Contemporary American Problems. It was called CAP. And Mrs. Von Helf was teaching it. And right at that time, actually 2 days before, the half of the faculty had walked. They were on strike. Mrs. Von Helf was not one of them. She didn't believe teachers should be striking. And she made it very clear that morning that the teachers out in front with signs and striking were against students, and they had no right to be out there. We were here for education and only, and they were selfish individuals who had no right to be doing what they were doing. And very innocently, I raised my hand and I said, "Thank you, Mrs. Von Helf, for sharing your thoughts about being on strike with the teachers. Could we ask one of those teachers to come into the classroom and tell us their side of why they're out there?" Mrs. Von Helf was not happy at all. As a matter of fact, she screamed at me and said, "How dare you say something like that in my class?" And she threw me out of the class, which I had not planned. I mean, I very innocently had asked her this, thinking everybody was into hearing both sides, and why wouldn't that be just a normal thing? But evidently, I learned a lot that day, and that was part of what I learned. And I left the classroom and ended up being quite upset and didn't know whether I should go back or not. But basically, while I'm telling the story is because I like to think that I stood up for myself at certain times in my life. And that was one of those times. So the courage to see injustice is important. But what I'm still learning, and I have to connect this to the social justice group that is meeting once a month. What I'm still learning now is the courage to act upon it, to act further upon it. That takes, it takes a lot of guts to speak up to people who don't agree in a way that is not reactive, not angry, but just real clear, and continue to do that again and again and again. And so I just wanted to share that with you, and to say out loud that I want to practice more to do that. Thank you. Is there anyone else who wanted to tell a story today? We made very good time. So back to you, Dolores.
Okay. The morning offering will now be given and received. Please remember, we are a self-sustaining congregation and provide all financial resources for our many ministries. We recognize the spiritual value of generosity and invite you to participate. If you're viewing this service remotely, please use one of the methods shown on the screen. Thank you. our thanks for all the gifts given and received for the work of this community. Let us now sing the doxology.
From all that dwell below the skies, let faith and hope with love arise. Let beauty, truth, and good be sung through every land by every tongue.
Let us now sing the closing hymn, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place, number 1003. 8. Oops.
When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we trust the wisdom in each of us, every color, every creed and kind, and we see our faces in each other's eyes, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we tell a story from deep inside, and we listen with a loving mind, and we hear our voices in each other's words, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we share the silence of sacred space, and the God of our heart stirs within, and we feel the power of each other's faith, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place.
Thank you, Jan. Now let's recite the valediction. We extinguish the flame of this chalice, and we know that the light of truth and love and the warmth of this community go with us until we meet again. Please extinguish your chalice at home now. After the benediction, we encourage you to stay for questions and comments. Diane will call on you when you raise your hand. Diane.
Well, your involvement today makes a difference, and I thank you all for being a part of this service today and sharing little bits and pieces from your life. It's easy to hold up a light and declare that everyone is welcome, but it's harder to build a place where everyone considers this their home. Let this be your home and allow the many facets of your being to emerge and be shown. After all, you are a diamond to be further discovered. Let your light shine through all the beauty that you are. Thanks.